Bay Real Estate Academy. The website for Dee is backbayrea.com. Gentlemen, welcome back to the show. Now, Dee, tell me a little bit more about the school and what you got coming up and what you do again for those just tuning in.
Sure. So the school is a real estate school. We're licensed in Massachusetts and approved. We're also approved on the federal level as far as offering the mortgage loan originators courses and curriculum for all their loan officers. So we teach stuff for to license salespersons, brokers, real estate brokers, all of their continuing education requirements, all of the stuff for the loan originators, which we're kind of here today. Sort of that's what we do. The approach that I kind of take to this stuff is I've been training guys for about 10 years, so I've got a big passion to be able to get in the classrooms and teach. Last year I taught about 3,000 plus lecture hours.
Wow.
So I teach a lot, a whole lot, and the whole sort of impetus behind teaching is to develop curriculum for guys to help them learn better. Adult education's hard enough. Teaching adults is harder than teaching little kids. Trust me. So I think sort of what I bring to the table is coming up with ways and sort of exhausting all avenues to help adult education. I think it's important, and I think teaching guys how to do this business right, as corny as this sounds, is very, very important. I think if you teach guys how to do this right, they can make a great living for a long time. This is one of those industries that you can do that.
Sure, absolutely. And they have to keep up with regulation, correct?
Absolutely.
Which is why you took the class, right, Jonathan?
I had to take the class, absolutely.
So this sets you aside, though, from the banking industry.
It does, because, as you learn as you go along. But, if you work for a bank, I guess, you have to be registered but not licensed. So those tests that I had to study for the state level and the national level, I don't think employees of a bank who take mortgage applications actually have to take those tests. They just have to be registered. So that means if you call a major bank, I think you can get a hold of a customer service rep, I think they call themselves, but I think that they don't do it full time, and they don't have the knowledge that we mortgage brokers need to have, to talk to you and be qualified enough to talk to you about a mortgage, whether it's a purchase or a refinance or any other type of mortgage that you have questions on. And I think that, they just sit there and answer the phones, and I think they could be a receptionist half the day and a mortgage consultant the other half of the day. And I know from experience, when I had to go for my own home equity line of credit, I was amazed at the inexperience that these customer service reps had and all the misinformation that was given to me. And I was so frustrated with my own refinance and just a home equity line of credit at the time that I basically knew exactly why my clients came to me for all these years for their mortgages, because there was a huge difference between talking to me and some customer service rep who, just graduated from college and doesn't have any experience.
Right.
So, the light went on, and now I understood why I do so much business through our referrals, because I can get it done.
Sure.
Right.
And not to mention, they don't have the qualifications, they don't have the education that you possess as a mortgage broker. Now, tell me some of the advantage of using a mortgage broker.
Well, first of all, like I said, you have to be licensed. So now anybody who deals with a mortgage broker going forward can feel pretty much a lot more secure that he's talking to someone who's qualified now, at least pass all the tests and the requirements. So that's a good thing. So it's an even playing field that way. So that's good. But we have access to all the other different investors, and we deal on the wholesale level for the most part with all the big banks and local banks, and we have a lot of connections with presidents of banks. So if someone calls up and needs some type of portfolio deal that avoids Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, we can get that done for them. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, so that's a big part of it too.
And Dee has helped you out immensely through this process.
He has,
which is why he's here.
Everything's coming at us so quickly, then it's changing so fast. It's hard to keep up with all the regulations and rules. And I don't think there are too many licensed instructors like Dee in the Commonwealth, actually. So. I think he's got a monopoly on that stuff for the most part.
You got that market locked down, huh, Dee?
Hopefully locked down, right?
Yeah, so tell me what you got coming up. I heard some exciting stuff.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of things happening. We've got some classes coming up. The next class that's coming up is, let me just see here. So the next mortgage course that we have coming up is the 25th and 26th of June, Friday, Saturday. And that's a 20-hour pre-licensing class. What's good about it, there's a lot of guys procrastinating taking this exam. The deadline for a lot of these guys is October 31st. So they got to get this thing done by October 31st. The problem, sort of the linchpin with this exam, is if you fail it one time, you have to wait 30 days to take it again.
Right.
And if you fail it 3 consecutive times, you got to wait 6 months. So there's a cooling off period, and if they go too far, they're not going to be able to practice. So with that in mind, I think taking the exam, taking one of these prep courses will help you. Another thing that we've got sort of almost completely done is I've got a book that's coming out exclusively for the Massachusetts portion of the exam, which a lot of guys don't have good supplements for. So it's one of those things where I've been working on it for a long time. I've sort of been, in the lab, in the dark, dingy lab, just typing away. And it's the most I would say I would rather be doing many other things. So it's one of those things I put a lot of time into. And it's got a lot of good sample exam questions and everything else. That's coming available. And we decided to put together a test prep class just to help guys crash course through this thing. So we're going to be doing a half day. We're going to start posting them on the website pretty soon. Just doing half day courses and just doing a ton of test preparation. That's it. Just get these guys ready to go.
So you have to help them keep up with regulation, which is always changing, always getting more strict. So tell me about
I call it a movable goalpost. yeah, you pick it up and you run with it, man. That's exactly it. It's a movable goalpost. Things are moving so quick, and there's no sort of memo system going around to anybody that it's even tough for educators to try to figure out where things are going. And what's good about the mortgage side of what we do is of the guys, Jonathan, for example, he's always on the pulse. He's got his fingers on the pulse as far as what's sort of going on. And I learn from being in the classroom with these guys, which is really, really cool for me to come up with good stuff. But coming up and changing all this stuff and then helping them get ready for examinations and stuff can be a bit of a challenge. So it's never a dull moment, I would say that.
Shed some light on how difficult these tests actually are, which is what separates a mortgage guy like you, Jonathan White, from your typical banker who, like you said, is just fresh out of college. So shed some light on how difficult it is for Jonathan to keep up with the regulation and how impressive it actually is.
Sure. Well, I mean, after the meltdown, the sort of sector that got scrutinized and I would even say pigeonholed and blamed was the mortgage broker. Okay. Because of the sheer volume of loan originations that came through on that side, and the fact that they were completely not regulated. It was a big problem. Right. Statistics. What do they say? 50% of statistics are wrong. But they, of all the whole loans that were originated in this country during the booms, roughly 80% to 85% of those came through a mortgage broker. So a lot of brokers. At one point, we had about 500,000 guys writing loans, and none of them were registered. None of them were being watched or anything like that. What's happened with the licensing now? John's got to go through and sort of practice what he preaches. He's got to learn all about federal compliance, state compliance, how the business works, and how to do it right, and certainly how to do it wrong. I've spent a lot of time with mortgage fraud, and I've been hired as an expert witness on fraud cases before. And so one of the approaches that we can come in at with this education is we can start to show loan officers what's right and what's wrong. A lot of guys just don't know. With John and what now he has to be able to do is he's got a durable competitive advantage. After going through these classes and after learning what he's learned and doing what he's been doing for all these years, his level of performance has been sort of times 10 to what regular federally regulated loan originators can do now.
You hear that, Jonathan?
I did.
Ringing endorsement right there. You're a mortgage guy times 10.
Well, I appreciate it. Well, when I get a referral, and a lot of them are, they're all referred to me, and some of them are pretty knowledgeable clients, actually, and know the business pretty well. What makes me different is, if you think about it, you can call me, you can call a couple other mortgage brokers, you call a few banks. Whoever has the most knowledge and the best rates, I think that's the one you're going to end up with.
Oh, sure.
So you kind of have to know what you're talking about to make the customer or the client, feel more comfortable.
Right.
So if you ask me a few questions and I don't really know the answers,
next,
and I'm working for a bank, right? You're gonna hear a dial tone at the end of the phone.
Sure.
They're just gonna call.
You lost your opportunity there, right?
That's right. That's right. And that's the way it's always been, even before the testing requirements. So I'm through all the tests. I fulfilled all the requirements, and I'm done. So I know I'm thrilled. But I know there are a lot of competition out there that hasn't done it yet, and I don't know what they're waiting for. So, if they miss it the first time, they got to wait another 30 days. So, it's tough out there for sure.
And Dee, you say that they have to have this done by October 20th, right? To keep up with Jonathan, they must have their test passed by October 20th.
Yeah, so October 31st.
Oh, excuse me.
That's fine. The official deadline for a lot of these guys. Some of these guys have a deadline by July as well. The majority have it October 31st, and that's exactly it. If they don't get their requirements in, they're not going to be able to practice,
right,
which is going to be tough. You know what? There's been some guys in this business that have been doing it for 30 years, and they're great bankers and great brokers. A lot of these guys are sort of hanging it up. They're getting out of the business, and one of the biggest fears is passing this examination.
Sure.
So.
It's any test is a dread, especially as you get older. Like,
That's
oh
right.
my, I have
That's
to
right.
get back into the classroom and stuff. And that's kind of what you helped them do too, Dee. You prepped them for this.
That's right.
Absolutely.
It's getting some of the ring rust off, and it's kind of getting them back into the mindset of what to expect in taking exams. I'm a bit of a nerd, so I take a lot of tests.
Yeah.
So I think you gotta learn what makes them work. I'm working with a buddy now that's got a very difficult time with visual learning. So what's cool for me is I get the opportunity to try to teach people that might have really bad ADD.
Sure.
Is it any shock? I don't think it should be that most of these guys have really bad ADD. I mean,
Jonathan
it's a loan
White, can you
officer.
speak on that? ADD in the mortgage business? Is it prevalent or what?
Oh, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff out there that's prevalent, but yeah.
We'll keep it under the carpet for now, all the
Right.
secrets of the mortgage industry. We'll be right back with Jonathan White from Blue Door Mortgage and Dee Kumar from Host Group, a Back Bay Real Estate Academy, which is backbayrea.com. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after these words.